Welcome to the first panel discussion hosted by Divorce Angels. I am Marnie Skye. I'm a co-founder of Divorce Angels. We are an online support network for people going through, contemplating, and supporting a divorce. For more information about what we do, just visit us at our booth over here at 107 or visit us on our website, thedivorceangels.com. Today we're here to talk about empowerment after divorce. So it's never easy when a marriage or a significant relationship ends. Whatever the reason for the split and whether you wanted it or not, the breakup of a relationship can turn your whole world upside down, financially and emotionally. But there are plenty of things you can do to get through your divorce through this difficult time and move on. You can even learn from this experience and grow into a stronger, wiser person. Today, we're having a panel discussion on the empowerment before, during, and after your divorce. Divorce Angels brings together some of our experts here to share their advice and knowledge on how to navigate your divorce by creating an effective divorce strategy, protecting your finances, communicating and safeguarding your children, all while getting over the hurdle of breaking up and getting ready to get back out there. So we all know that breaking up is hard to do, even if you're the one initiating the split. Natalia, how does a breakup coach help us through the pain and healing?
So what I do is I help people before, during, and after. So some people are debating whether or not they should separate from their partner, or if they're kind of in the middle of it, they've decided, but there are a lot of logistics, like if you need to move, or if you have children, or even you share a pet, things like that. Or then there's also the recovery side, once it's already happened. And the way I help with that is teaching people how to grieve. I think it's something that in our culture we're not necessarily very skilled at, but it's a part of life. So I just help to teach them about the stages of grief.
Anyone else notice when they're with their clients that they're going through a lot of grieving and pain and suffering?
So stages of grief are a very big thing that I see as a family lawyer, and if someone is working with somebody like Natalia, that can be really helpful in the separation process.
I agree. I often talk to my clients about the grieving process because they're at various stages. I meet with people at the beginning, middle, and end. So the grieving process is a very set process. Acceptance, bargaining, anger, and people move in and out of each stage. And it's such an emotional, difficult process. And I think it's amazing to have someone walk you through that. It's really important because people who are grounded make better decisions. So I think that's really important.
I was going to add to that as well in regards to the way that children need to process this part of divorce, and that they go through a bereavement cycle as well. Learning how to deal with the new form of their family can be a big step for them as well, and go through very many of the same steps in bereavement or in grief counseling as you would see in an adult.
People always reach out to Divorce Angels and ask us what to do when they're faced with divorce. Some of the most common questions are, what are my options? How long will this take? And what are my legal rights? So Seema, can you just share with us what is the best process?
So there are quite a few processes. Divorce does no longer means you have to go to court. It doesn't mean traditional litigation. There's a lot of settlement options, processes that allow difficult conversations to occur, but that are focused on trying to work it out. I, in my practice, do collaborative family law, and I do mediation as a family lawyer. Both of these processes require people to have difficult conversations, to roll up your sleeves and work hard. But it doesn't have to mean you have to get in front of a judge and have a very difficult process that you see on TV all the time. In terms of how long, it really depends on the facts of the case, but these settlement options allow for things to be quicker. Traditional litigation and court processes take a long time, so whatever can be done to try to make things quicker will be much better for everybody involved, including the children.
Did you want to just elaborate on the differences between collaborative mediation and arbitration?
Sure. So I think people mostly know litigation, which is when you go to court. Collaborative family law is a process where each lawyer is trained in such a way that we're both focused on trying to act as a team and settle things. That does not mean your legal rights are compromised in any way, shape, or form. It means, though, that the lawyers are going to sign a contract to say that they will not go to court. The clients can still go to court, but they'll have to let go of those lawyers. The benefit, though, of the lawyers signing a contract that they're not going to go to court with you is that then they are very focused on working things out. They are not spending time writing letters to one another that are threatening or talking about motions, and instead we're really focused on interest and trying to figure out how we can help people. Mediation is where you have a neutral and both parties come and see that one neutral. So I act as a mediator where I'm helping you try to work every piece of your family law process out.
So we often hear that people have difficulty navigating the process at the beginning stages. Really, they have a lot of trouble hiring the right professionals. Diane, can you talk a little bit about what the value a divorce coach brings to the process?
Sure. Just to Seema's point, one of the biggest areas that I speak with people about is their options, because a lot of people don't understand that they do have options. They hear stories from their friends, their colleagues. It was a nightmare. It cost me so much money. I had to go to court. Often I meet with people at the beginning. I meet with people at the beginning, middle, and end, but at the beginning more so, people are frozen, they're terrified, they're emotional, they're crying, they don't know what to do. They look at me and they say, I just don't know what to do. So we start with uncovering concerns, their interests, what their goals are. What's very important is who their partner is, how high the conflict is. Is it possible to negotiate with him directly? So we start to move through and talk about the different options, and we sort of customize a process or a critical path, per se, to guide people towards a separation agreement. And it's all very individual. And another huge piece of negotiation and coming to an agreement is hiring the right professionals. As a coach, I would never recommend a separation agreement without a lawyer looking at your rights and obligations to ensure. We certainly talk about the information and give you power and empowerment by knowledge, what your rights and obligations are, get you sort of set and grounded to start making decisions. And then we can set you up with the right lawyer, because if you hire the wrong lawyer and it's not the right fit, it can escalate the conflict and slow down the process. So I like Seema's collaborative approach. I do a lot of mediation coaching to get people prepared for mediation. You know, empowered, confident people make better decisions. So that's really the value that we offer.
So once people have made the decision to divorce their spouse or their common law partner, their primary concerns are typically focused around finances and their children. People are often confused as to where to start. Like, should they meet with a financial planner first, a lawyer, a parenting or a divorce coach? Catherine, can you talk to us a little bit about what value a financial planner brings to the process and why you need one in your corner?
You definitely need one in your corner, especially at the beginning, because lots of people don't understand or really know the actual values of their asset. And you need to know that in order to even go forward in any of the processes, whether it's mediation or collaborative or litigation. So I usually like to meet people at the beginning and really sit down with them and do a full financial plan on, it doesn't matter which side, because sometimes people don't have their own credit cards, they don't have joint bank accounts, or they don't have their own bank account. They rely solely on their spouse for financial support. None of their bills are in their names, so they haven't developed a credit rating over the lifetime of their relationship. And sometimes they have really complicated assets, and they sometimes people don't even know whose name the assets are in. And it's a very different process if the assets are in one person's name versus the other. Also, the growth of your assets during the duration of your relationship is really important because that's really what you're going to be splitting up. At the day one, it's nice to sort of have an idea of what you actually have, and that empowers you to make your decisions going forward. And as the process continues, it's better to work with somebody that can help you and guide you because there is tons of emotion and it is overwhelming on the information. And there are certain things that need to be done in terms of equalization payments, and there's tax efficient ways to distribute the money to your spouse. It's not just knowing what your budget is, it's knowing how you can budget going forward and that your end financial goals when the whole process is over can still be met. And I've worked with people even through litigation when they really, during the recess, they've called me and said, can I push for this much of a lump sum payment, or should I really take the spousal support, or can I afford to do this way? And I've worked with people also after the divorce, also sitting down, and then you go and you look at your new financial situation, which can be vastly different than it was historically. And to know that you actually can afford to carry on, or that your kids are okay. And it's a very empowering moment or time when you know that you are going to be okay after the divorce. So it's good to have somebody in your corner throughout the process, because money is always involved in some which shape or form. And there's a lot of emotion attached to that money, whether you were the breadwinner or you weren't the breadwinner, or whether you both have equal assets going forward.
Great. Seema, do you want to add about how you work with a financial planner? I think that's interesting, how the lawyer and the financial planner work together.
So I have a slightly different answer, although believe that a financial person is extremely important. I think that seeing a lawyer first is really important to understand your rights and have a parameter, but that doesn't mean that you wouldn't have a financial person at the same time concurrently. But lawyers, just like Catherine described, often are trying to get creative when they're being settlement oriented and need to know, can we do this? Can we do that? How about if we do this? So it's really useful. And for clients to know their own budgets and going forward, they're not going to make decisions that are going to be problematic for them in the future. It really helps give that secure feeling as you're going through the process.
Yeah, and maybe Diane, do you want to add about, some working with your clients to kind of figure out what's needed when you go to these professionals?
Yes, a big part of what we offer is strategic information gathering, what you need. Lawyers, I'm sure Seema would agree, lawyers like prepared clients. It makes the process for them and the client easier. I encourage, if any of you are considering a separation or going through a separation or know someone, is to ensure that you're aware of your finances. I meet with so many people that are unaware of what has gone on in their marriage as far as finances go. Not gender specific, it goes both ways. One person sort of takes control of the finances, and its knowledge is really important to help you feel empowered to get through the process.
So another question we always have is that the effects of divorce on children, they can be very detrimental to your children when going through a divorce. So Jill, would you talk to us about how to mitigate the emotional and behavioral issues in children during this really big transition?
Absolutely. I think one of the most important things that I discuss with parents is really defining their relationships under two different roles. And it's essentially the romantic relationship that is obviously being changed and adjusted, possibly into more of a friend-based relationship from which you can parent together. I think that if you can, when I coach parents in understanding that the personal issues within their relationship need to be separated and need to be discussed out of the home, allows them to parent without this sensitivity and bringing these problems into the home. Because that's really where a lot of the confusion grows in a child, and where they start to feel like they may be part of why the reason why the parents are divorcing. So that's number one. And number two is to immediately start to acknowledge that the children are just as much a priority in this, in determining what's going to happen, as your finances, as your assets, as figuring out the new custody arrangements. It's not just obviously all these contractual obligations, but the emotions behind these things for children are sometimes some of the biggest and most important factors in the in the stress management while dealing with divorce and separation.
So I used to be a teacher, and so for 8 years, so I've experienced working with a lot of different families, and I think that there's this conception that divorce can really mess up a family or mess up children, but that's not at all the case. I think it's when there can be healthy divorces and that are very loving, and then there are other ones that can be very toxic and negative. And I think this is all a part of this context of, I don't know if you've all heard of a conscious uncoupling. It was popularized by Gwyneth Paltrow when her and her ex split up, but actually it's been around since the 1970s. So what a conscious uncoupling is a healthy breakup, and a lot of people ask me, they're like, does that even exist? Because I think we're so used to it always having to be a negative experience. But a healthy breakup has to do with healthy communication, respect, and if there are children, genuinely putting them first.
On to some more exciting conversation. Let's talk a little bit about dating and divorce. It's always a difficult topic. Is it better to delay the start of a new relationship until the terms of your divorce have been finalized? And how do you know when you're ready to start dating? Shannon, can you give us some advice on what to give divorcees to look for when they get back into the dating world?
Okay, so first of all, you have to really ask yourself if you're ready to start dating again, because it has to be a conscious decision, and you have to ask yourself if you actually have the time to date. So many singles nowadays have busy schedules, and men are hearing that women are often busy, which is discouraging to men. So on a second note, I think you need to do your research. You need to research the dating platforms that would work for you. So whether it's online dating apps such as Bumble or Tinder, if you want to start slow and get some practice, and you're not really looking for anything too serious, you could start with online dating. You know, it's best to get out there, practice a bit, nothing serious. If you're looking for confidentiality, and you don't want your face all over the internet, then you work with a boutique matchmaker, someone who's actually managing your dating lifestyle. So with that being said, clients come to me in confidentiality. I'm helping them, I'm setting them up on dates, finding them their future relationships. Another service I offer is a wing woman service, which is excellent for divorcees. A lot of women that are divorcees may not have a singles network of friends, right? All your girlfriends are married, they're all putting the kids to bed, and you're sitting there alone in your house, and it's 10:30 at night on a Saturday, and you're bored. So this is where I come in. You can hire me to take you out and be your personal wing woman for 2.5 hours. And basically I help socialize you back into, the Toronto hotspots, or even if it's just going to a restaurant and starting slow. Whatever assistance you need, I help break the ice, and I help introduce you to potential males or females if you're a man. So just so you know, there are services out there that can help divorcees, and I think you need to do your research. There's dating consulting, breakup recovery, matchmaking. Take advantage of these services and don't be afraid to ask for help.
It's great. I think, it would be great, Jill, if you could just add to it and talk about how dating and bringing in your new dates impacts your children.
So that's what I was exactly going to comment on, was that's a question that I often get as well, is even when a man or a woman are ready to start dating again, they ask me certain questions like, when is it appropriate to start bringing somebody into my home? Do I have to be in a full-on serious relationship? Do I have to think that this is the next person I may be either living with or getting married, or can it be something more casual? My general rule of thumb is you do want these people to be somebody that's significant in your life. It doesn't have to be the next person you're going to marry or the person you think you're going to spend the rest of your life with, but you're essentially displaying to your children what they would want to look for in a mate, somebody that respects them, somebody that considers them a significant person in their life. And to constantly have a rotation of either men or women coming in and out of the home, you're essentially saying that relationships are insignificant. So while that's not insignificant to you in the beginning processes of your dating, and I think that's very important for people, in terms of what you expose to your children, you might want it to have it to be a more significant relationship.
So as a breakup coach, this is actually the most fun. Like once you've worked through the recovery, it's the getting back out there. The getting back out there actually starts as soon as you've kind of mentally checked out of your last relationship. So that could be getting date ready by, starting to do things that you love again. Like if you wanted to dance, like just getting your life back, getting fit, getting healthy, starting to get that energy back, that then months and months later, you're going to start to transfer into your dating life. And what's really interesting, and Shani, I know you find this as well, is when we work with people, like dating after divorce is so different because many people didn't really date very much in their 20s. So now they find themselves single in their 40s, 50s, and they're having to learn that skill at a time when the modern dating world is it's so different. There's social media, so there is a lot to learn, but it's best to just get started and start learning and practicing.
Yeah, just one other thing. If you are doing online dating, I also offer an online profile editing service. So some singles don't, take the best photos, or they may have not write the best bios of themselves, and then they're wondering why they're getting missed, right? So it can become discouraging. So I know a lot of dating coaches also offer that service. I think hiring a professional photographer, making sure you have top-notch photos, image consulting, whatever you need help with, you need to look and feel your best inside out, or you're not going to attract the right partner.
So divorce and breakup, it's never easy, but having the right professionals to empower you to take control and make informed choices is key to moving on and finding your happily ever after. I'm going to open this up to the entire panel and ask them, how can a breakup or a divorce be turned into an opportunity for authentic transformation and empowerment?
As I said earlier, people get frozen and they're emotional and they can't move. And people sometimes wait years to make the decision or even make a call to me or to a lawyer, to another divorce coach. What I'm here to tell you is that it can be a long, hard process, but if you have the right professionals, you will get through it. And once it's done, then you can move on and with these amazing women to help you move on with your life. But until you take the first step, if you choose to stay frozen, that's going to be a longer road for sure.
Also, I'm a life skills coach, so the skill of learning to let go and letting go of like the old baggage and not really torturing yourself about what could have been, should have been, what you need to fix. Just like look at a past relationship as a learning curve and take like the good from that and move forward. Don't compare like new dates to your ex-husband or your ex-boyfriend, because there's no reason to compare others, right? Everybody's different. So I think you need to go in with a fresh mind, a positive mindset, and you need to like just be open to love. And if you're not positive and you're not, feeling good and looking good, then your date's going to feel that as well. And maybe you're just not ready. So just acknowledge that.
And I would add for finances, even if you haven't done the finances traditionally in your household, after divorce, chances are you're going to have that ownership and empower yourself to take care of yourself and your family. So it seems very intimidating for some people, and it's not really as scary. And there are professionals out there that are more than happy to sit down with you and really go over the basics of a budget. It doesn't have to be all complicated financial statements to start out with, but you can be empowered, so don't be afraid to try that, because you are going to have to take it on. And I found with people that traditionally were not in charge of the finances of the household that are all of a sudden forced into that position, they do it with great reluctance at the beginning. So it is nice to have somebody on your side and in your court that it can walk you through it.
Well, I don't want to say I get excited for people, but sometimes I almost do, because I've experienced when people go through it, like I think there's sometimes people are just so scared for change, but it can absolutely be like, I know from personal experience that who I am now, like before and after my broken engagement, is I'm a much better, more authentic, happier person. So I think that that's completely possible if you're willing to do the work, and it's about mindset and strategy. It's that you've decided that you're gonna grow through this as opposed to getting stuck and be broken by the experience.
And I was going to say that I see people scared, sad, angry, going through the worst crisis of their life, and I join right in through to help them through. And they keep in contact with me, and I have very, very few clients that don't transform and are happier in the end. So it is possible, it does happen, and in fact, I would say in the far majority, it does.
And just one final comment, obviously, about the family. I think that many people would understand or be able to imagine in your own personal situations that an unhealthy marriage relates therefore to a more dysfunctional family than a functional family. And from a family perspective, when exactly like everyone is commenting on here, when people are ready to make that change, to recognize that they deserve better for themselves and better for their family, everybody automatically does better. Once this process settles down, once routines are established, once an organization, whether it be of assets, finances, or what have you, is settled, everybody tends to flourish a lot better. There tends to be much better communication, much better relating, and I think, again, that opportunity for transformation can be totally a very positive one when people are ready to make this change.
So I want to thank this amazing panel of women. They're inspiring professionals. They work hard to provide guidance and knowledge and tools to help you move forward in a positive manner during this very difficult time in your life. Go online to our website, thedivorceangels.com, and we can connect you to them directly, or you can just read about their profiles and connect with them directly on your own accord. We thank you a lot for joining us.